I'm Alan Weiss, and this is the writing on the wall. Welcome to Writing on the Wall. This is about surveys. We're besieged with surveys. And the surveys really don't survey anything. If you've bought a new car or a used car, most of the dealers, most of the salespeople, even the service people will say to you, look, if you don't give me all 10s on the survey you will receive, I won't get my bonus. Now that's a crock. That's called managing the survey. And the dealership ownership does that, so that they get all 10s and get a better rate of interest from the car manufacturer if they're showing that level of service. But of course, it's not a real reflection of service. It's fake. It's managed. It's artifice. Hotels constantly send you surveys. As soon as you walk out the door, you have a survey. But you also get an email from the banquet manager or the sales manager or the general manager or some manager who says, you will be getting a survey from Ritz-Carlton, from Marriott, whatever. If you have any issues, let us know first so we can deal with them. In other words, don't give us a bad mark. Talk to us and we'll tell you why you shouldn't give us a bad mark. Airlines have surveys all the time. Who cares? Ignore them. They don't do anything. Come on. Poor websites have poor surveys. Have you noticed? If you go to a complicated website, they have a complicated survey because the same IT lack of intelligence is creating them. You know, I've received surveys from websites I had a hard time pounding through, and I wanted to give them bad feedback in the survey, but I couldn't figure out how to use a survey. And by the way, self-selection governs surveys. People who are extremely happy will say something extremely good. People extremely upset will say something extremely negative, and the great mass of people in the middle will say nothing. They got better things to do. That's not how you get feedback. You want feedback? Shop your own business. I don't care if you're a solo practitioner, small firm owner, boutique firm owner, or an executive in a large company. Shop your own business. But shop it right. I'm flying from Boston to Atlanta on Delta. First class, and there are about 8 first class seats, maybe 12. And I'm sitting in the aisle, and across from me is a man in the aisle in a jacket and tie, dressed well, businessman. So am I. I'm traveling on business. But I notice, as good as the service is I'm getting, and it's good service, he's getting even better service. And I'm watching carefully, and I called the flight attendant over, and I said to him, this guy's an executive with your airline, isn't he? He said, oh yeah, he's the CEO. I said, really, he's the CEO of Delta? He said, he is. And I said, he's on here because he had to get back to Atlanta? He said, no. He takes a week every so often and just flies the different routes so he can see what the service is like and how we're doing. I said, let me understand this. And you know he's coming, and you know who he is, and you know where he's sitting. He said, well, yeah. And I said, and he's not sitting back in coach. He's sitting here in first class getting first class service. And there are 2 of you up here helping out. Is that right? He said, yeah. I said, okay. After he left, I leaned over to the CEO, and I said to him, would you like some feedback? He said, well, sure. And I gave him an earful. But he's not going to learn anything about the airline when his people know he's there, and he's not sitting in coach where most passengers sit. Doesn't work that way. I was on Amtrak once, and the first class car is always the last car, this particular train. But there was a car behind me. Was that a mail car? We don't have mail cars anymore. Baggage car to go to New York? So I called over the steward. I said, what's going on back there? He said, the CEO of Amtrak is riding with us. That's his private car. I said, give me a signal when he comes through. So guy walks past me. And a few minutes later, he comes back, and the steward says to him, I stopped him. I said, hi, excuse me, aren't you the CEO of Amtrak? He said, yes, I am. I said, how'd you like some feedback? He says, come back to my private car. Sitting back there with him and one of his top officers, you have this view of the track that you're going over. But how does he get feedback sitting there in his private car? You know, there are 3 great lies in surveys and in testing and in all this kind of stuff. 3 great lies. We know what the 3 great lies of dating are. I'm not going to go into them here. You know, one of them is, will you still respect me in the morning? But here are the 3 great lies of surveys. Number 1, this call will be recorded for quality and training purposes. Really. I don't think so. Number two, please listen carefully because our options have changed. That's not true either. They just don't want you trying to get right to the operator by punching pound and star and everything else. What, their options change every day? And number three, please hang on for our survey at the end of your call, and you'll qualify for our raffle. And of course, there's no raffle and you're never going to win it. Remember Publishers Clearinghouse? If you just sent in the form, you would qualify for their raffle. You didn't have to buy a magazine. Publishers Clearinghouse, $2 million or something. And then one day, 60 Minutes did an investigation, and they found all of these envelopes in the trash outside the company. And all of the envelopes were not subscriptions. These are the people who didn't subscribe. I don't think they made the raffle. Now, if you'd like to finish a survey, complete a survey about this particular episode of Writing on the Wall, simply